about how to influence people, right? There are many areas in life where you depend on other people to do what you want, to do something when you want them to do that, not only when they want to, right? And it's important for your productivity, for your growth, and so on. Can you share in the comment box, lovely people, examples of areas where you're trying to get people to do things, do what you want? Let's just get some engagement going, yeah? Share in the chat box, examples of where in your life, in work, in life, you're trying to help people to do what you want. Without them getting upset with you as well. That's very important, yeah? I'll start off with some examples. During a photo shoot, trying to influence the look. Oh, good one. Yeah. Who are you trying to influence in that situation? So when you be clear, who are you trying to influence and what are you trying to get them to do? Selling a marketing service. Yes. Production crew. Yeah. Buying into creative projects early on with senior stakeholders. Yes. Awesome examples here. James, Renee on production during a set. Yep. Christina, to put my foot down in business relationship when I feel someone tries to dominate me. Good one. Elizabeth Rose, trying to get my clients to agree with my suggestion. Ooh, that's a good one. Laura, make clothes to trying to get accurate measurements. That's a really good one. Who are you trying? Are you getting them to, Laura, are you trying to get them to take measurements or are you taking the measurements? I'm curious about that one. Okay, thank you for these examples. Yep, as you can see that this skill is useful in all areas. In business, you're trying to convince your colleagues, your bosses, or the people who report to you. In your own business, you're trying to persuade your clients and suppliers. And in your personal life, your spouse, your kids, you're trying to get broadband delivered on time. So in all areas of your life, the ability to influence people I think is a critical life skill. So I'm really grateful you're all here to watch this. There's another one here, Julie, trying to convince admissions I deserve a scholarship for an MBA. That's a good one. Christina, everyone. Okay, sorry, that was another one. Audrey, trying to encourage others to observe my boundaries, especially throughout the pandemic. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're going to learn in this session. We're going to learn how to persuade others to do what you want without any ill feels, because that's really critical. And I'm going to share some stories and examples of how it works in different areas of your life. And then I'm going to share with you how to avoid common mistakes people frequently make when they're trying to get someone to move or to take action, to do what you want, right? So essentially you can get stuff done. That's why we want to do this, so you can get stuff done, you can have peace of mind and so on, yeah? So let me start with this example of this story where I have two nephews. Lovely little creatures they are, but whenever they come around to visit, when we visit them in Texas, whenever they come around to visit their grandparents, because we usually stay with the grandparents, they're always running around like headless chickens. Now, on this one particular occasion, one of them was learning how to they just started Kung Fu lessons. So on that trip, we were sitting there trying to have a peaceful afternoon with the grandparents and so on. They were running around Kung Fuing each other, making a terrible noise. For several hours, they were not listening to any of us. We kept pleading them, keep quiet, sit down, be still, stop throwing the cushions around. We were all getting incredibly stressed and they were not listening to any of us. So here's what, after pacing around, I thought to myself, it's unbearable. We couldn't watch TV, we couldn't read, we couldn't do anything. So I sat there, I took a breath and I went up to the kids and I said, who wants to be a Kung Fu master? And they looked and they went, me. Really? You want to be a Kung Fu master? Yes. You want me to show you how you can be one? Yes. I said, okay, come and sit on the sofa and I will show you how you can be a Kung Fu master. They came and they sat on the sofa and I said, right, kids, have you heard of Bruce Lee? No. Bruce Lee is one of the most famous Kung Fu masters in all the land. Oh, and you know what he said? He said, Kung Fu starts in the mind. And they went, oh, so are you ready for your first lesson on Kung Fu mastery? They went, yes. I said, okay. Now the first one to sit there quietly for the longest is the winner and is surely on their way to becoming a Kung Fu master. So they sat there for the next half hour, trying to be quiet, trying to be still. They were going upside down on the sofa regardless. They were moving around like kids can't help it, but still they were trying to be quiet. And then for the next 2 hours, we had blissful peace and quiet. We were able to just read and, get on with our evening. So what happened here? Now, when I delivered this message to them, I focused on the why first, why it was good for them before delivering the what I wanted them to do, right? Deliver the why it's good for them whenever it comes to communicating before you deliver the what it is you want them to do. Does it sound good? The why before the what. Say yes if you get it. The why before the what. Good. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Elizabeth. Emily. Yes. Isabel. Got it. Beverly. Kate. Nice one. You all got it. Okay, good. Now, here's what's really important. Before I delivered that, I had to ask them, what did they want? What do they want truly? Not because when I challenge my clients to think about this, they're still thinking about themselves. I want them to be quiet. No. Really, what do they want? They want to play, of course. Kids want to play. But in this particular situation, clearly they both wanted to be Kung Fu masters. Yeah. So always think, what's in it for them? Why should they do what you want them to do? How will it help them get whatever it is they want? Right. And so once you've established that, you present that, the why it's in it for them before you present the what you want them to do. Does that sound good to you? So in any situation, whenever you're trying to convince someone to do something, think, why is it good for them? How will it benefit them? Why would they care? Before you deliver the what action you want them to take. Yep. So this is a golden rule. People get that wrong. They're always focusing on the what. And that's what we were doing before. Keep quiet, sit still, be quiet. That wasn't working. I needed to dig deeper and stop thinking about our peace of mind and think about what they want to have and enjoy as kids. Okay, so that's the first lesson. Always focus on the why it's good for them before you deliver the what you want them to do. Yeah. Now, in another scenario I want to share with you it's a critical mistake people make, but I'll tell you a story about to demonstrate it. So one time, one of my clients, he was trying to get a meeting with this company he was trying to pitch. They were an estate agent, and he dialed in and he managed to reach the managing director of a mid-tier estate agent, and he was trying to sell his survey tech product. So he started telling the managing director about this product. He said, oh, wow, this is really good. Wait, I need to get my digital marketing manager involved. Wait 1 second. So he dialed, and then the lady answered the phone. Hello. Hey, Melissa, you need to be in on this call. This is a very important product. Hang on, I've gone blurred for a second. Keep going. Melissa, this is a very important product. You need to be in on this. It's a survey product. And she said, but we've already tried survey products. They don't work. But this one's different. I think you should be on this. Well, let's just book the meeting. And then, so Melissa, the lady, the digital marketing lady, you could tell from that phone call, she didn't want to be involved in this. And she was just not interested. So she could have been and plus her boss was telling her what to do. No one likes being told what to do. So this lady could have been a potential bottleneck in moving forward, right? She could have stopped the process. So here's what my client did during the meeting. Okay, you could see the lady during the meeting. So this was weeks later in the meeting. She was sitting there like this, completely disengaged. She didn't really want to know anything about it. She tried these products before. It didn't work. So here's what my client asked her in the meeting. He said, what if you could get this user data right after you've got the product, What if you could get the specific user data right after they've used a product? How could it help you build that new service you're looking for? And then she sat there and she thought, and she started coming up with some ideas. He said, well, we could then use it to plug into this new marketing platform we're creating. And then she started coming up with all these ideas. And once she started coming up with these ideas, she started convincing everyone else in the room why this was a good idea. And then several months later, he signs them up as a client. That lady who was a potential bottleneck was doing the selling, doing the influencing for him. Now, what did she do? What did he do right? First of all, you need to be curious. You need to be curious, because a mistake people make is they are often trying to tell. They'll go in there and they'll think, oh God, I need to convince this woman. Let me go in and convince her. But instead, he asked questions. What if? What if we did it this way? What do you think about? Could we do it this way instead of that way? Right? So ask questions. Be super curious about trying to, whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. Yeah. There was another example and also you need to let them take the credit. Don't try and take credit that, oh, that was my idea. Because a lady came up with a bunch of ideas, which became a powerful way for my client to move the project forward. And this actually happened with Steve Jobs. One of his engineers approached him and say, hey, let's make a streaming device where people can stream videos and music. And he said, what a stupid idea. Who is going to watch something on a portable device? No one's going to watch anything on their portable device. And then months later, the engineer came back and suggested, hey, what if we could create a nice box for them to watch, to stream videos and watch videos on it? And then he started thinking. And then he started coming up with these creative ideas. And then, they made all these fabulous new products. And the engineer just let him take credit. Okay, so when you're trying to convince someone to do something, when they're potentially a bottleneck, don't tell them what to do. Ask them questions that gives them creativity, that gives them freedom to come up with their own ideas. Because when you ask questions, people are more likely to let go of their defensiveness. Now, if you'd gone into that room and started telling them why this product is going to be good and why you need to sign up for this, they would have been defended and they would have stuck their heels in. Okay, does that make sense? Ask questions. What if, how could you, and so on. Yeah? Can anyone think of some questions you can ask? Come on, let's get those neurons firing. Give me some examples of, just open like I did. What if, could you? Please give some examples, because I don't want you to just listen passively. I want you to engage your mind with this. Just share a couple of examples of questions you could ask. Beginning of a question. How about, nice one, Leanne, Elijah, what if we had a way to increase the team's satisfaction at work? Nice, that's a really good one. James, is there a way to, yeah, how could you turn that into an open question? Because is there a way could lead to a yes or no answer? Think of a way that gets them more open and that will answer in sentences. Audrey, what's worked successfully previously? Nice one. Beth, how would you? Yeah. What annoys you about the current process? Andrew, really good. You're a salesperson, aren't you? I can tell. Because that's a really good question. So ask questions, get them to tell you the answers. They're more, no, IT, awesome. Could there be a way to, okay, you guys are getting this, brilliant. Okay, so ask questions, people will stop being defensive, they'll be more open, and you listen to what they have to say, they're more likely to listen to what you have to say afterwards, okay? Now, there'll be some instances where you need to convince someone or influence someone where there's been a mistake, okay? Maybe you made the mistake. Well, okay, yeah, you made the mistake. So how do you convince someone to kind of let you off or to have a positive resolution when that happens? Okay, so here's an example of that. One time I was traveling on the train from London to Birmingham and back again. Now I bought the Super Saver ticket back in the time when you could travel by train. So I bought a Super Saver ticket in advance. So I managed to save a whole bunch of money. I'd spent the day in Birmingham. I was giving talks and so on. I was on the train on my way back thinking, oh, good, what a lovely day. And then the ticket inspector comes over to me, asks for my ticket. And I say, there you go. And then he looks at my ticket and he goes, this is not the ticket. I looked like the ticket. He showed me the ticket. I went, I scrabbled around, looked for the ticket. And I couldn't find the ticket. I said, oh my God, I've lost the ticket. Do you remember when we used to buy train tickets? You get the outward journey, the inward journey, and then you get another stub which shows how much you paid, that you bought all of the tickets. Remember? I kept that, but I threw the other ones away. And I explained it to him. Oh, I'm so sorry, I threw the wrong ticket away, but will this do? He said, no, madam, you're traveling on this train with the wrong ticket. You're going to have to pay a fine. I said, what? You can see I bought the right ticket. There's the receipt right there. It's today's date. You can see it. I just threw the wrong one away. Why can't you just let me off? So he kept insisting, no, you have to pay the fine. And the fine was not just Birmingham to London. It was from wherever the train originally departed from. So it would have been over 100 quid I have to pay out there. So I was getting a bit annoyed and felt he's being unreasonable. So I kept sticking my feet in, stuck my feet in. I was no, well, you can see I bought the right ticket. What's wrong? And then he kept saying, madam, you've bought the, and then, so I took a breath. I was like, okay, this is not going anywhere, because a few minutes had passed. I said, okay, you're right. What's the damage? And he looked at me, he said, let me just go and do the rest of the carriage and then I'll be right back. And he wandered off. And I never saw him again. He didn't come back to fine me or charge me. So what's the takeaway in that moment? You need to let go of your ego. I was completely stuck in my ego. I thought, I'm right, he's wrong, I've got the proof. I had to let go of that. Because if you hang on to your ego, that person's going to hang on to their ego and you're not going to get anywhere. So what you do, give up trying to be right. Our ego wants us to be right. Instead, try, you are right, I'm wrong. When you say that, they are more likely to admit mistake as well. It doesn't work 100% of the time. Yes, because there are certain people who are like that. But if you just let go, and I mean really let go, not secretly hanging on, trying to trick them into letting, no. You've got to just, because people feel that energy, okay? So stop trying to be right. Let them be right. And then you'll find you'll both end up being right. So which is what happened in this situation. I've used this time and time again when you make a mess. Sound good to you? Let go of the ego. That's fundamentally what that one's about. Yeah? Yeah. It's hard. It's just not easy. This is difficult because we always want to be right. But what you need to do in that situation is to take a breath, listen to your breathing, instead of the voice in our head saying, me, I want to be right. You can let go of that. And that's when your loving, your generous, your compassionate self can come through. And that's when you can come out with the authentic, you're right. Okay? The customer is not always right, but they are always the customer. Julie, that's such a good quote. Yeah, I love that. So admit you're wrong first. Like I said, if you admit you're wrong first, they're more likely to admit that they are wrong as well. Okay. Now, hang on, there's a question there. We will answer questions at the end. Okay. I will save 10 minutes. I'll come back and ask some of these questions. Yeah. But moving on, there will be, actually, no, wait, I want to answer this question. What happens if they're power tripping and think they're always right? In this situation, you could tell the guy was on a power trip. Okay. He was. Yeah. But if you think they're on a power trip, that means we're still in our head. Yeah. So if we're judging them, we are still in our head in that situation. We need to let go and assume that person is doing the best they can. Assume that person is doing the best. Because it's just a nicer way to be about things. Yeah. Yeah. So moving on. Now, one time now sometimes you need to get people to do something which isn't necessary. You want them to show up for you. You need people to show up for you and really doing you a favor. And they're not necessarily going to get anything in return, right? So how many times does that happen? It happens at work all the time, right? So one time when I used to work in media, and I just shifted to a new department where I was dealing with international media, and I had to sell basically a whole bunch of magazines for a bunch of different countries. And now traditionally, editors don't really like salespeople. And salespeople don't really like editors. I mean, there's this tussle. It may have changed now, but back then they didn't really like each other and they didn't really talk to each other. Yeah. Now I just got a promotion. I was now looking after 7 countries. But what I did is when I went to visit the countries, I went and visited the editorial staff. When I went to Paris, I thought, right, I want to go and meet the editors. I went there, I learned how to pronounce their name properly because my French accent is not very good. So you just got to know them all. And it's same with all the other countries. And I was just doing this because I genuinely want to just get to know them and I want to do a good job. Months later, when I was pitching a certain client in Taiwan, I wanted the editors to meet with them to look at their product. So I arranged this tour. I arranged this 3-country tour they're coming all the way from Taiwan and they had to meet with these editors. And I asked these editors, please, are you available on this one day at this exact time? And I had to get 6 editors on each day to meet and then they can notoriously give up at the last minute, duck out at the last minute, or just not show up whenever you ask them to do something. They can be, at the time it was like that because we didn't have the internet. I know I'm showing my age now. We didn't have the internet, so there was not that too much competition and stress and worry. We were in magazines at the time. So they notoriously maybe just didn't turn up or whatever. But I had to ask them, please show up on this day, on this time, and please just listen to this customer. And they all showed up at the exact time. And so just be nice to people. Be nice to people in advance, always. Not because you want something, because that's what sometimes people are nice when they want something. I'm assuming you're all lovely, lovely, lovely people, yeah? You are, but let's be nice and give and be generous, yeah? Be super nice to people. Not super nice, just be nice to people. Now, what are the ways you can be nice and be likable? Can you share in the comments? Simple ways you can be likable? Smile, yes. There you go, Teresa, yes. Always ask how they are, yes. Make an effort to remember names, yeah. Be respectful, please, yes. Okay, see, I told you you're all nice people. Be interested in them, compliment, give recognition. Yeah, you got it, you sorted. Yeah, yeah. So just also find things that you have in similarity. Something you have, remember facts about them, I love it. Thank them for their work, yes, 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 yes. Find things that you share commonalities as well. That's another way. People like, oh, this person's similar to me in some way. So find, yes, areas outside of their life, and then try and connect something that you have a similarity there. And also compliments. I know some of you mentioned compliments. Yeah, but here's the thing with compliments. Would you compliment my smile? Would you compliment my smile? Or would you say, oh no, there's something on my teeth, right? The compliments have to be genuine. You can't just say any compliments, all right? Let me tell you a story of how this worked. So I've lived in this area for about 10 years, and I go to this newsagent down the road from us. It's about 5 minutes walk from us. And I've been there every year. And one of the ladies there, bless her, she never smiled. She always looked very stern, like she didn't want to be there. I need to get rid of this photo of me, sorry. That she didn't want to be there. And then one day I walked, so this was like 8 years later, okay, I'd never seen her smile. I walked into there one day, and on the radio playing in the background is classical Indian music. And as I walked up to the lady was singing under her voice, kind of like that. She was doing a much better job than me. And I walked up to her and I said, oh, sounds like Lata Mangeshkar works here. And she was like, and she started smiling and she got all bashful. Lata Mangeshkar, for those of you, she is a world famous, I don't know if she's world famous, but she is one of the best Indian singers they've ever known, classical singer, beautiful. I think she's known as the Nightingale. Anyway, so she was like, wow, and smiling and just, oh, you know. And then from then onwards, whenever I went to the shop, so for the past 2 years, whenever I've gone into the shop, she's always smiling and just nice and cheerful. And here's the thing, okay, you never know when you need someone's help, which is always just be nice in general. Because 6 months ago, my wife created Christmas cards. She decided, oh, she's a designer. So she created these beautiful Christmas cards. And it was my job to try and get, to try and sell it to people, right? And I wanted the newsagent. I thought, oh, I wonder if this newsagent will sell it for us, will help us. So 6 months ago, I approached the newsagent, the lovely lady there. She listened and said, come back, talk to my husband. This sounds like a lovely idea. I went back, talked to the husband. Will you help us with sell these Christmas cards? Guess what they did? Not only did they put it in the window. As you walk in the window, you walk past the newsagent, they put it right in the window. They didn't take any money. They gave us 100% of the profit. And they even put a card right by the till with a sign, and they told everyone about it. We sold hundreds of copies of that card, right? And they said, so that's another example of influencing someone and how being nice. You never know when. So don't do it as a way of trying to stack up a bank account of being nice, which is what some people say, just be nice, kind of, so that you get favors back. No, just make it a way of being. You never know when you might need someone's help, or you never know when you need to pull in some favors. So just go around being nice to everyone all the time. Does that make sense? I am assuming you're always nice, but why don't we just consciously say, hey, who can I be nice to today? who can I, it's about being generous. Does that make sense? That's essentially what it is. It's about being generous. Yeah? Right, what are we on to next? So also maintaining regular contact with people as well. Yeah, just check in with people. How are you? What's going on? And so on. Because instead of just turning up when you want to ask for something, that doesn't feel good at all. That's what I did with the editors in advance. I got to know them, I got in touch with them, and I chatted with them for 3 months before I ever pulled in any favors with them. And with this lady, it was 2 years since before asking for a favor. Okay, so always maintain regular contact and be nice. Yeah. And also another thing, Elizabeth, how can you be nice to someone who is horrible to you constantly, no matter how nice they are, nice you are, they never change? Yeah, that's a very good question. So sometimes you can't avoid people like that. You can't avoid people like that. But all we can do is focus where we put our attention to. Yeah, yes, Julie, kill them with kindness. Okay, what we can do is focus. All we can control is our attention. And what we can do is we can focus on how we're acting and how we're feeling, less about what they're thinking and how they're acting towards us. Yeah, because sometimes there are people who are rude to me in the first instance. And what you got to do is you got to take a breath and not get offended. Take a breath, think, assume that person, maybe they've had a horrible life, maybe they've had a horrible day and so on. There could be a whole bunch of reasons, but I dig into those reasons just so I can be, to help me be nice to them, just give them the benefit of the doubt. Does that make sense? Give them the benefit of the doubt. They've maybe had a bad day. All right. And like Julie said, just continue to be nice because there's only so much more that they can take, right? It could be a defense system that they've built up over many, many years. Yeah. Now I want to introduce to you a couple of sandwiches. Hey, it's lunchtime. A couple of sandwiches that is crucial, that can help you get what you want as well, help people to move and do what you want. The first one is called a benefit sandwich. Whenever you try to ask someone for something, to do something, like for example, you want them to pay that invoice, you want them to sign that contract, or you want them to send you those figures or whatever it is, give them a benefit sandwich. Why it's good for them, which means why it's good for them. Hi, Sarah. So I can get everything set up so you get your X done on time. Please, it'll be great to get that so I can give you, okay? So whatever it is they want, you start with that, and then you've got the ask, and then you've got the benefit. You can do this with emails as well. The subject header, not like, can you send me can you send the invoice or update invoice or whatever it is. It's usually just very blank. Instead, make the subject so you can get your X done on time, so you can get the event done perfectly and smoothly, whatever it is. Think about what they want. Yeah. And then in the subject, in the actual email itself, what they want, what you're asking for, what they want. It's a benefit sandwich. Does that make sense? Let me hear some engagement. Benefit sandwich, always, always, always. Yeah. So you have to literally think and stop and think, okay, what do they want? How will this help them? And so on. You can do this with meetings as well. You know how sometimes in meetings they drag on or something? Start with the benefit. Okay, so that we're all on the same page, so that you get, the results you want. Here's what I need. And that's so that you can get your X, Y, and Z. Okay? Another sandwich, there are two sandwiches. When you're giving feedback, right? When you're trying to give someone feedback and you want to make a suggestion, give them a commend sandwich. This is what we use in Toastmasters. This is what we give in Toastmasters. When you're trying to constructively criticize someone, because if you straight away criticize someone, they'll get defensive, and they're not going to improve. They won't change, make the changes you want them to do. So instead, find something you can commend about it, then give the recommendation, and then give the commendation. I love your energy, brilliant, but maybe just go 0.1 second slower in your delivery. Otherwise, awesome, got all the points covered. Does that sound, yeah? Love this proposal, looks really good. How about this? Maybe we can do this. It might make it nice work otherwise, yeah? So whenever you're trying to get someone to do something or change something, give them a commend sandwich. Yeah. Michael, you asked the question, how does it differ from the golden rule? Can you expound on that question? Golden rule is what? Yeah. I just want to know your understanding of that question before I launch into my assumption of what you're talking about. Okay. Right. Next, what have we got next? Now, some mistakes. I want to address some mistakes people commonly make when they're trying to get someone to do what they want, which results in, you don't get the outcome you want. The first one is people always want to be understood before understanding the others. They always want, you don't get me. You don't get me, right? You should know me before I care about you. And I think that's why the world is, it's quite polarized at the moment, because everyone's like, me, listen to me. But what you need to do is understand before being understood. Always understand others before trying to be understood. Yeah? Just listen to them. Why do they feel that way? What's their backstory about it? And then what you'll find is when you listen to someone, which is it's an act of generosity, it's a way of being giving, you truly understand them, they will let go of their defenses, because people fundamentally want to be understood. And you can only really influence someone when you know what they want, but also when they feel they've been listened to. Yeah. So Michael, you have a question. How does benefit sandwich differ from your previous golden rule about what's in it for the other person? It's kind of like an add-on to that, but it's more this benefit sandwich it relates to specific situations where you're trying to send an email and they're not responding, they're not doing whatever it is, sending whatever it is you want them to send. So this is where a benefit sandwich can work. Yeah. Or when there's a specific ask that you want in other situations. Yeah. But benefit sandwich, yeah, it's kind of loosely the karate situation too. Yeah, cool. So always seek to understand before trying to be understood. Okay. Next one. People value being right over achieving the desired outcome. They value being right. It's kind of how I was feeling initially when during the train incident. This also happens, actually, I work with my wife. We worked on a business together. And oh my goodness, when we started working together, whenever we had meetings, we would always get into arguments. You know, we've been married for 12 years and thankfully we have a good relationship. But when we started working together, that caused real tension. So what we started to do before each meeting, we realized that the source of the arguments is that we were both trying to be right when it comes to delivering, you know, doing something. But we started to focus on the outcome. Okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. We're both very clear on that. This is what we're both trying to achieve. So you're both on the same side. Okay, we're right. We're on the same side. Let's go. But whenever an argument erupted, we immediately focused on, okay, what are we trying to achieve? What's the outcome we want here? You know, got out of that. We focus on that. And then we dropped our egos and we're able to move forward. Yeah. So always focus on value the outcome above being right. I really feel that a lot of stress in a relationship is because we value being right above the outcome. The outcome being a happy, harmonious, peaceful, joyful relationship, respectful relationship. Value that over being right. Okay, you know, who cares? Okay, so I don't do the dishes when I'm supposed to. You know, I'm not going to say, you know, you don't put the dishes away all the time. I'm right, you're wrong. Who cares, right? Just let go of that. They're more likely to stop resisting and trying to be in there, you know, trying to be firm, digging their heels more. Yeah. That's what people do when you're always trying to be right. Let that go. It doesn't matter, does it? Right? Another situation, and when people are trying to influence, they always speak in languages of me, I, me, mine. This happens all the time whenever I'm coaching clients. I said, okay, what are you trying to do with this client? I want them to do my thing and buy my thing when I want, and buy my package. No wonder they're not listening, because what about them? Yeah, so so this is one thing you can start doing today. Notice your language. How often do you say me, I, mine? How often do you say you, yours, or your? Whenever you're engaging with someone. What is this, right? So that's one thing you can spot. Okay, am I here? Am I understanding them? Am I being there for them? Or am I here for me? Yeah. Because ultimately, you help them get what they want. It serves you too. Another one when we're trying to influence someone is, and they're not listening, and they're just like standing their ground, is we're standing their ground with facts and logic. Facts and logic, just sticking to our ground. Well, no, you're wrong because this, what, and the other. This is why you should change. This is what should happen. Instead, get them to explain their views. When they're adamant and that they're right and you're wrong, get them to explain their views. And the more you do that and start helping them explore where there are gaps in their views. So you get them to talk about it, help them see the gaps, they're more likely to let go and be open to another way. Sound good? Laura, what about use of we? Yes, good one. Yes, I should have added that in there. Nice one. Okay, so when you're trying to influence someone who's stuck in really adamant and they're, you know, being very stubborn, get them to explain it. Okay, let them unpick it, right? And then sometimes we want to influence people who are completely unpersuadable, right? There's no way they want, and oftentimes that's the way. And here's my suggestion with that, is to ask them this question: is there anything I can do or say that will help, that will change your mind on this? If they say no, let it go. Stop trying to convince them. Go on to someone else. You know, if you're pitching clients or stakeholders and so on, go on to someone else. Don't waste your time. Because some people just there are some people who want to be like that. Mostly people are more open, yeah? So this is more for your peace of mind. And also people, there are times when you want to complain about poor service, but when you're complaining about poor service, you do want an outcome to happen. You want to influence to have a positive outcome, right? Now, common mistake people make when they're complaining about a service. One, complain to the wrong person. Two, we go on Twitter or we're angry and it's, it's not particularly helpful and we just complain. So this has worked. Now, this has helped me get lots and lots of airline miles. It's helped me get all sorts of wonderful things done. It's helped me get broadband delivered today and not in 6 weeks' time. It's helped me in many, many ways. Is instead complain to the decision maker. Who's the person? One time we were traveling on a very well-known airline, rhymes with Hairways, and we turned up to the airport and the ticket, there was something wrong with the tickets, or they gave us the wrong ticket and so on, and it just wasn't a very good situation. We were not very happy. Now, instead of complaining to the customer service, I sent an email to the CEO, the managing director, and I explained, here's what you do. Go to the decision maker, be completely nice, saying, look, I love traveling with you guys. We've traveled, we go to Austin twice a year. We always go with you guys, and I love it. But here's what happened. And look, I know you guys are trying to do the best, but this was uncomfortable. I mean, I can't remember what exactly happened, but I explained it all out. I'd be grateful if you can give, compensate us, give us X miles or whatever, just so we can carry on. Would love to keep flying with you. He replied within 12 hours, and he gave a whole bunch of airline miles, which were useful to upgrade us in the next flight. Yeah. So, and I've done this exact same thing when I'm trying to when broadband, we were having a broadband supply. We moved house and they told us they're going to install our broadband in 6 weeks' time instead of the very next day. I need it for work, right? I used exactly the same process, and we had broadband showed up on the day of that we moved in. Okay, so whenever there's a mistake and you're trying to complain about poor customer service, you want to get an outcome, you want to get a positive outcome, this is the way you'll get a positive outcome. Yeah, always complain to the decision maker. Don't go to Twitter. That's what people usually do. They go on Twitter or go on Facebook. No, find the decision maker's email them, be super polite, be factual, and just tell them how much you love them, and you will get a really good, you'll get an outcome. You'll probably get the problem solved if you are rude, but you won't get the extra miles and the add-ons. Sound good? Now, here's the thing. I'm not suggesting you, Leah, yes, rather than customer service. Yeah. Good. Sometimes customer service, if they're helpful, fine. But if you're not getting anywhere with customer service, which can sometimes be the way, then just go straight to the CEO. Okay. Now, I'm not suggesting you become a welcoming mat for everyone to come and walk all over you. Not at all. What I'm suggesting is assume that people are trying to do their best. Assume that people are, as one of you rightfully said in there, assume everyone is grieving. I mean, that's a nice way to look at it, because some of us, many people are. Lead with empathy. Yes. Just assume everyone is trying to do their best. Everyone wants, they all want a good life. They're all just trying to do their best to get ahead. You don't know what their circumstances are. So just assume they're trying to be nice. And then think of the influencers as a way of helping them get what they want too. You're giving them a welcoming mat to get what they want, not that they're trying to trample on top of you. Think of it as a long game, as a way of life. That's essentially what I suggest, is to just embody this as a way of life, to be giving, to be generous, I know you guys are anyway. You all proved it, right? You all sold all the lovely ways you can be nice, but really embodying it in every situation. Because sometimes what happens is, when we get into our ego, we don't always want what's best for us, truly. Yeah. Like, for example, babies, beautiful little creatures, aren't they? But if you try to take scissors or a knife away from them, they will scream murder. They'll scream in a rage, even though taking away the knife is good for them, right? We don't always know what's good for us when we're, having something taken away from us, our freedom and so on, right? So that's fundamentally where we get it wrong, because it triggers us, we're in our ego, and then we want to take. We can't help it, yeah? So make this a way of life, of just being kind, being compassionate, being generous, and you never know where it's going to lead you, where it's going to help you, because people flock, because Influence is about being able to move people, and essentially it's about helping people flock to you. And so as long as you're generous and nice to people, they will always want to come and flock around you. Yeah. And I will end with this. Maya Angelou, the late great Maya Angelou, gave this most wonderful quote. She said, people might forget what you said, people might forget what you did, but they will always, always remember how you made them feel. And the key to being influential is to make people just feel good, feel respected, feel loved, feel understood.